Sean Bean's greatest role. And no, it's not Lord of the Rings, it's Sharpe. Hello and welcome to Broadsword Wargaming. My name is Ollie, and in this video I am going to be taking a look at the Wargames Atlantic Napoleonic War era British Riflemen, aka the 95th Rifles. This video is inspired by the Sean Bean series Sharpe. If you haven't seen it, it was a mid-90s series on the BBC in England based around a swashbuckling hero during the Napoleonic Wars. Something of a passion project for me. I've always wanted to have a go at recreating these characters. You get 32 models in this box with 4 models to each sprue. These sprues come with enough heads to make all of your favourite characters and lots of other dudes so they can die in the line of duty. I was very happy to see Harper's weapon, the knock gun or volley gun, in there as well, meaning I had to convert nothing and can quite simply make the models I'd like. The bodies are all nicely detailed, not overly complicated, so they're paintable. I'm going to paint these and glue them all together for you and show you what they look like. I'm not going to do an overly complicated paint job, a bit of airbrushing, a bit of base details, and just get them out. The models pop out quite nicely, they don't need too much work or too much cleaning up, and they assemble relatively easily as well. The only thing to look out for is some of the guns, the rifle guns and the second arms, don't necessarily go together randomly. You do need to make sure you have a go and dry fit these first, because you'll end up gluing something together and then realise the arm looks a bit awkward on there. So just make sure you shave everything off, make sure they fit together nicely before you put any glue on them. With plenty of choice for your leaders, there's a sort of separate body leg combo, one with a one side slung jacket and one with no jacket but like a more posh higher tier commander unit. I went with the sort of one arm over the jacket with the sword out, very much a Sean Bean style piece because he has that ego, that bravado, and is always ready for a fight, so I thought it looked a little bit better. These are the 4 main characters there: Hagman, Harper, Sharpe and Harris, kind of. There's no specific Harris head, but I just thought this guy might look quite good in ginger. On to the painting. I am going to be using this brand new Iwata HPC sent to me by the guys at the Airbrush company, so thank you very much. If you follow the channel at all, you'll know I am a huge advocate of an airbrush, so I thought I'd try something out and use this because it's a little more accurate than my other airbrushes, being a 0.3 needle, and really is a nice piece of kit. I've used it a few times already. Classic things you need: airbrush thinner, cleaner, and I'm going to base this in black and then go over it with the zenithal. So just get the surface primer out, drop a bit of thinner in there and spray the models. They spray nicely. They're actually a little bit smaller than your standard Games Workshop models, so they don't take very long to do. You could of course do this with rattle cans, whether that's cheap ones from the pound shop or the Games Workshop ones, any kind of spray you like. That's what they look like with the black. It's a little bit hard to tell right now without the zenithal, so I think the white zenithal really helps show these models off in their best light before I ruin them with my terrible painting skills. For the white, I use the Liquitex white. Again, you can use any white you like. The only reason I use this is because it's quite thin, so when spraying out it doesn't sputter and sort of splat very much on the models. It's a very nice even coat. My plan here really is to use the zenithal to bring out that green, the classic green of the 95th Rifles models when I go over it with the colour. I don't want to mess around with 3 layers here, highlights and lowlights and things like that, because the models are quite small and I think I'd struggle to really get those nice pinpoint highlights without spending a ton of time on them. And of course, I never have enough time, as do any of you, so getting these done quickly is always an advantage. Using the Game Air Vallejo dark green, you can use the Caliban green, I think, from Games Workshop would work just as well. I've got this quite thin and I'm spraying it all over the model. A couple of thin coats allows the zenithal to show through, so it will naturally highlight the model. Again, you could do this with a paintbrush, whether it's contrast paints or not. Just make sure your paint is thin enough that it allows the dark and the light, the black and white, to show through. How do I feel about the green looking at it? I'm quite happy. It's possibly a slightly bit brighter than you might want for these models, but I think it's pretty damn close to the TV show. The back end of the leader does kind of show off the figure quite nicely, and I think the green cape and jacket at least turned out quite well. To paint the rest of the details in, I'm just going to use all the classic standard general Games Workshop paints, but of course you can use any brand you like. I like to go for my wood here on the guns, so this is Dryad Bark, I think. Just go through with details, so get your Cadian flesh on there for the skin, and go through all the details until you're happy. There's quite a lot of blacks, golds, and silvers on these models. Now this really is genuinely a passion project for me. I don't know how much interest you guys have in the old 90s series Sharpe, or if you've even seen it, but genuinely, if you have not, it really is a very good show, and I used to love it. It reminds me of a Wednesday evening, I think, when I was like 7, 10 years old. Used to wait up and watch this show with my parents. It's still good now. Is it even available on Netflix or anything? I don't think so. It's pretty much a straight to DVD, if you even have a DVD player anymore. But who really cares? Because that's part of the hobby, right? I will probably never use these in a game. I don't know what I would use them in. I don't really play Napoleonics, but I really think the models are cool, and I want to have them up there in the display case to remind me of the good old days. I'm painting some backpacks. These have little like sleeping bags on them, so I sort of go for a rough grey sleeping pack. I don't want to put anything to take too much colour away from the rest of the models, because that's not really the kind of the vibe these fantasy, reality, historical models are painted in. And here we have the full gang: Hagman, Sharpe, Harper and Harris. And I'm quite happy with these for the time they've taken me. Maybe an hour and a half up to this point. Maybe some extra highlights and a bit of highlighting on the skin can make them pop that little bit more. On to the basing, and would it really be a video without a tiny shill for the old Geek Gaming Scenics basing materials? This stuff really is great and is so suited towards multi-basing or historics, because the ground looks realistic, the scale is right for models of all these sizes. So I'm using the patchy planes, one of the more popular basing materials, mixed in with the fast dry basing glue. Just paste the glue on, then get ready to dunk the models. All of this stuff is available from the links down below. Do check out my website. If you're EU based, it's probably the place to go, because it's one of the only ones stocking it at the moment. Enough about that, it's on to the finishing the models off, so dunk them in and shake them off. Once you've dunked them in and shook them off, do give them a tiny blow from down below, because it makes the grass stand on end rather than look all flat. Finish them off with a little tuft. So this is one of the dead tufts there, but there are various flowers and other things available, and you will get, voila, some finished models. How do I feel about the project looking back on it? I really enjoyed it. This was quite fun. It's a passion project, and I've not really painted much for quite a while, so hopefully this will get the old juices flowing. If this is your kind of thing, and this is the thing that gets you into the hobby, or is a passion project for you, make sure you do the same. Essentially, whatever you're working on, just enjoy it. If you enjoyed the content, please do click the like, share, subscribe button, or hit the alarm bell below. Check the links down below as well to support the channel as Patreon, as well as my shop. So that's it for me, guys. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will catch you again over the hills and far away.
Here's 40 shillings on the drum for those who volunteer to come, to list and fight the foe today, over the hills and far away, o'er the hills and o'er the main, through Flanders, Portugal and Spain. King George commands, and we obey, over the hills and far away.